Lights out on the hour. It is the hour of the time. Lights out for the curfew of the body, soul, and mind. This is Richard Greaser, and you're listening to the PAZNIA Radio Network.
Together and do what is right. There is hope for the future and victory is in sight. The forces of evil are daunting and scary. Temptations of submission will make anyone wary. What we are witnessing is a battle for perception. All they have is dishonesty and deception. They want you to be tired, afraid, and alone. Their control disappears in the face of backbone. There is no way to control a population that is ungovernable. People are dangerous when they choose dignity over being comfortable. When you realize how much there is to lose, all you can do is stand your ground and refuse. All around us are people with brains dissatisfied with settling for living in chains. Inside them is a primal hunger for something more than settling for compliance and being a whore. When things become difficult, do you want to cower and hide? Or will you embrace adversity and take it in stride? To die with dignity is preferable to being a slave. History will look kindly on those who choose to be brave. Adversity has been doing a time given us. All we have is dishonesty, and do you comply or defy? In the end, no matter what, we all will die. Between now and then are lots of decisions. Memes and information are the most dangerous munitions. There is no easy path forward, whether you comply or defy. In the end, no matter what, we all will die. Between now and then are lots of decisions. Memes and information are the most dangerous munitions. No way to control it, whether you comply or defy. In the end, no matter what, we all will die. Between now and then are lots of decisions. Memes and information are the most dangerous munitions. All around us are people with brains dissatisfied with settling for living in chains. Inside them is a primal hunger for something more than settling for compliance and being a whore. When things become difficult, do you want to cower and hide? Or will you embrace adversity and take it in stride? To die with dignity is preferable to being a slave. History will look kindly on those who choose to be brave. When times become difficult, we are faced with opportunity to invest in each other, take care of our community. The soul needs healing in a world that is chaotic. Our pain has purpose, allowing us to be more than robotic. So tune into the Bugle to fortify your mind and boost us with the coin if our values are aligned. If you're listening out there, know you aren't alone. Join as we travel bravely into the unknown.
Hello, everybody. This is Richard Greaser. What an interesting week. What an interesting time to be alive. So I have to confess, before I introduce who I am, I think I just made a mistake. I decided to take a couple hits from my bowl, smoking some weed. And I don't do that very often. I'm a tried and true cigarette smoker. And so Rayo here asked me to do this new type of live stream, this radio live streaming for the first time ever. And so I had my wife looking at, the doodads that he was setting me up with to do this. It's my first time ever doing something radio related, and like literally like 2 minutes into this, I smoked some weed. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. So bear with me if we have any technical difficulties tonight. We will correct them going forward. This is the trial run for me. So before I'm going to go on some tangents. So what I'm going to do for this show is I'm going to play a couple of my songs. I think I got some of Rod's songs in here too. I wish I could have included more of Rod Palmer. Rod Palmer is my co-host, or the co-host of the Bugle Weekly podcast, the podcast that him and I do. It's the most thermodynamically sound podcast in the world, so go check it out. But he also writes songs, and he writes some good songs. So I'm going to play probably predominantly my songs. I'm going to play a couple of his songs, and then I'm going to feature another guy's song that I really enjoyed this week. I'm at grave risk of rambling way too much. So let me introduce myself. My name is Richard Greaser. I founded the Bugle. I would consider the Bugle the most important journalistic institution today. And the reason why is because I guarantee you, no other newsroom smokes as many cigarettes as we do. We listen to Bitcoin podcasts, we smoke cigarettes, we call feds gay. We're having a good time, but we're reporting the news that matters. We're out there breaking the stories. And it's a really important time for there to be credible and good news sources, because we live in clown world. We live in crazy world where everything is just nonsense. Uh, Society has decided to embrace smoking bans, and they think it's because it's protecting the other person. When in reality, they're just embracing mediocrity. They are sending the cigarette smokers, they're banishing them incrementally. They're just banishing them further and further and further. What's funny about these types of banishments is they always work out better for the people that are banished. If you're listening to this broadcast and you're part of the PAZNIA network in some way, and you have some overlap with what I'm doing with the Bugle, you've probably been banished in one way or another. Maybe it was like people kicking you out, or maybe it was like a self exile, a voluntary exile that you took because you thought people around you were too retarded. If that's the case, welcome. Glad to have you here tonight. I think we're going to have a good time together. But yeah, I'm a credentialed journalist. I founded the Bugle. Bugle News. Bugle.news is our website if you want to read the About section. But as part of what we're doing with the news is we write music. And I've written quite a bit of music over the last couple of years. I think I've been going for roughly a year. So here's like a handful of my favorites that I've done since I started doing this that I'll be playing on the show tonight. If you send messages in Zap.stream, looks like we got 5 viewers in there. That's awesome. Hopefully the platform is working well. I think there were some technical difficulties earlier this week on there. We're also broadcasting in a few other places. You can go to PAZNIA.com/radio, and they have the live streams linked there that you can click on. But anyways, I will be reading the Zap.stream comments and responding to them. So if you want to gauge with me tonight, send a comment in there and I will respond. But let's dive into the music a bit more. And I'm going to go smoke a cigarette.
I'm crushing so bad I can't sleep at night. If loving her is wrong, I don't wanna be.
This is a Rod Palmer song.
But I missed all the signs that she's a federal agent who's got me crossing state lines. I'm always looking for love in all the wrong places. I just can't get enough of those girls on Spaces. She's got a cold cardboard clock and hates KYC, but the badge on her busts me. She's not right for me, but when the game was finally up and the truth was revealed, she was just another fed, and I was the yield. She's got a cold cardboard clock and hates KYC, but the badge on her busts me. She's not right for me, but when the game was finally up and the truth was revealed, she was just another fed, and I was the yield. When I met her in person down at Bitcoin Beach, I knew our future would always be just out of reach. I paid for our abuses with my non-KYC wallet, and she reported me to the IRS when she saw it. I'm always looking for love in all the wrong places. I just can't get enough of those girls on Spaces. She's got a cold cardboard clock, it hates KYC, but the badge on her busts me. She's not right for me, but when the game was finally up and the truth was revealed, she was just another fed, and I was the yield. She's got a cold cardboard clock, it hates KYC, but the badge on her busts me. She's not right for me, but when the game was finally up and the truth was revealed, she was just another fed, and I was the yield. I wish I didn't love her so madly, yeah. And I wish I could marry her so badly, but she's a fed, and I'm the pleb. She's got a cold cardboard clock, it hates KYC, but the badge on her busts me. She's not right for me, but when the game was finally up and the truth was revealed, she was just another fed, and I was the yield. She's got a cold cardboard clock and hates KYC, but the badge on her busts me. She's not right for me, but when the game was finally up and the truth was revealed, she was just another fed, and I was the yield. On the 4th of July in 1776, non-compliant individuals had a fix. They did not like being ruled by the British. They were not docile or skittish. With pen and parchment they enshrined their defiance, creating what is now called the American Alliance. Founded on being ungovernable, we carry the torch, smoking non-KYC cigarettes on our front porch. All across the country, the people are awakening. Politicians are quivering and shaking. They fear a population that is not docile. They are afraid, so they will act hostile. But do not lose hope, the revolution is happening. The answer to 1984 is becoming ungovernable. Drive without your seatbelt, this is what winning looks like. Take back your pride, embrace freedom, do not hide. Only fools follow the rules. All across the country, the people are awakening. Politicians are quivering and shaking. They fear a population that is not docile. They are afraid, so they will act hostile. But do not lose hope, the revolution is happening. The answer to 1984 is becoming ungovernable. Drive without your seatbelt, this is what winning looks like. Take back your pride, embrace freedom, do not hide. Only fools follow the rules. All across the country, the people are awakening. Politicians are quivering and shaking. They fear a population that is not docile. They are afraid, so they will act hostile. But do not lose hope, The revolution is happening. The answer to 1984 is becoming ungovernable. Now is the time to celebrate the past by ushering in a new freedom that will last. Adopting a mindset that the rulers are tools, embracing reality instead of psyops by CIA fools. The future is bright. Let you feel it filled with hope.
Alrighty, I'm back to ramble, folks. First song was I'm in Love with the Fed by Ron Palmer, also known as Girls on Spaces. Absolute hit song. It's one of my favorites. I was singing it. And then this last song that played, Non-Compliant 1776. So I wrote that around the 4th of July uh, of last year, I believe. And it was a time that a lot of my friends were really worn out. And I think it's pretty relevant today as well. 4th of July of last year. It's crazy because I don't entirely remember everything that was going on in the political landscape. And I think that's what's so difficult about what's going on right now, other than me smoking weed to make it harder for myself to remember this right now. So much is going on. Just being bombarded with so much information. And, I imagine like probably a good amount of people that listen to this, probably don't relate to that. Because what I've seen from individuals that, really like chosen to live a little bit more self-liberated lifestyle, they just don't pay attention to the news at all, which can be like really productive and good uh to unplug from the system because most of it is just trying to get you to feel afraid and off balance. Anyways, I mean that's a lot of what I'm seeing in the news right now. A lot of fear, you know. There's all this stuff going down in LA. The intro, I did kind of like a lazy job. The intro for this was a ripoff of Bill Cooper's Hour of the Time podcast or radio show, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy Bill Cooper. He was somebody that radio turned me on to. Uh, but yeah, I'm a journalist, so I have to pay attention to the news. My job is to be the news and to pay attention to the news. And, when you're in that all the time, you're just overloaded with so much information and it's hard to remember. And that's why I like the podcast that I do with Rod. That's why I like the music uh, that I do because I learned this with other content, especially like TV shows and things like that have a lot of social commentary that last over, very long time. I think podcasting and music relevant to the time can really act as a time capsule for people to remember what's going on. So much gets forgotten. Things just oscillate back and forth violently when you're in mainstream culture. There's constantly changing social norms, expectations, what you can and can't say is changing frequently when you're in the mainstream culture. What you get canceled over. The left and the right oscillates back and forth with who's in charge. And it's exhausting. And most of the people that are in it, the frogs boiling in the water are completely unaware of what just happened not that long ago. What I remember, going into last year, last 4th of July, it was hot. Things were looking pretty rough with the economy, not too different than how it is right now. Things were looking pretty tough politically. It just seemed like, the only path forward was war and more surveillance. That seems to be true right now. And I think a lot of people that are out there kind of like overlapping that have not making the decision yet to just like completely exit society entirely. A lot of people that were straddling both these kind of like breakaway ecosystems like PAZNIA and the mainstream culture in some way were feeling really tired. I mean, it's just been exhausting. It's been exhausting if you're like attempting to change anything or build anything right now because you're just being bombarded with all sorts of obstacles thrown in your way. It's just people are fighting about stupid shit. Everybody's wound up. Everybody's on edge. Not a lot of people have the capacity to be funny or creative, and it's exhausting. Because one of the reasons why it's important to put really good content out there is because it's recharging for people. If you do it correctly, it could be recharging for you as the creator, like it is for me sometimes. So what I do is I rotate through a series of different things, because like I might be able to write for a while. So I'm writing a book right now. I'm really excited about this book. I'll be dropping some teasers eventually. Maybe the next time I do the radio show like this again, I'll drop a teaser to the book that I'm writing, doing some audio productions. I really like this idea of audio productions where it's more than just an audio book. It's kind of like a movie, an audio movie. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be exploring these things. But the reason why it's important to put good content out there, if you're a writer, if you're a songwriter, uh, if you want to make movies, if you podcaster, if you're a journalist, is in many ways it could be inspiring and recharging for other people. And that stands in contrast with mainstream culture, which is being directed at doing the opposite. Is it's attempting to just suck all the inspiration out of you. Just feel lost and hopeless. And so the way that I operate, as somebody putting a lot of information out there, creating a lot of content, I need ways to feel recharged and inspired. And music has been one of the primary ways that I've been able to experience that. Writing, it's been a really fun process. It's been a really fun process. But listening to me, because I started from the standpoint of believing that everybody else sucked, that everybody else was putting out incredibly uninspiring music. That was the premise I started from. I was so frustrated. There was a lot of music that I truly liked, and I listened to a lot of music, but it just didn't feel like it was hitting the theme that I wanted to hear. And so this is an interesting process because that's not where I'm at today. I don't think everything else sucks. I have, in this process of being really frustrated and trying to write a lot of music, have found a lot of other stuff that's incredibly inspiring. The ability to discover each other is difficult And I think it's only going to grow more difficult. It's absolutely astounding how powerful these algorithms are to just promote noise and useless information and to stifle anything interesting. So there's stuff out there that I have found that is so inspiring and so incredible and so aligned with where it just resonates with me perfectly with everything I'm about. And there's a lot of stuff that I've found like this, a lot of songs, a lot of Bitcoin podcasts, a lot of authors. Discovering each other is hard. And that's why when you discover somebody that's aligned with you and really gets it, that you don't have to like explain years of context because they don't read the books that you've read or had the experiences or talked with the people that you've talked to. And you could just like come from a point of agreement of like, yeah, we're on the same page. And I don't have to explain all this context to you. It's those people are incredibly important. They're incredibly important because you can speak the same language. And that's we are drifting in diverging realities. We all are to some extent, but some of our realities overlap more with other people's. The people that are working with me at the Bugle are some of the most creative and talented individuals I've ever met. Very, very smart. Nobody that's really stuck around and been committed to it isn't unbelievably talented. And it's cool to experience that. And I think that's one of the important things as like a content creator is, if you're looking for people, if you feel isolated and not connected with people around you that are on the same page, you've been you've been radicalized by some podcaster that you've never met and you're out on your own somewhere. There's ways to put out your signal for other people to find you and they will find you. But yeah, I don't know how I'm doing. Shoot me a text if you got my contact info or comment on zap.stream. Let me know how I'm doing. Was smoking weed a bad idea? Am I just rambling about nonsense or are you enjoying this? Uh, the next song that I'm going to play is very relevant. It's the Time Chain Police song that has been inspired by all of the Opportune drama, which is, if you're not a ridiculously borderline like cult following Bitcoiner, you might not even know what I'm talking about, what the Opportune is. Uh, but it's a very controversial subject. And this song, there was some very controversial news that dropped today that surprised me. Uh, but yeah, this next song is inspired by that. I'm gonna run outside and have a cigarette real quick.
Hold on a second. Um, okay, it's done. I just inscribed a monkey JPEG to the blockchain. Now some dumb retail guy is going to buy it, thinking they are going to get rich. I love pump and dumping on stupid retail while raping people's nodes with spam. This shit is the best. Thank God that Udi taught me how to piss in the mempool.
Okay, now you're in trouble, bitch. Did I just watch you send a non-standard transaction?
Who do you think you are? Bitcoin is an open protocol and people can do whatever they want.
Name is Haley Welch and I am the Time Chain Police. No one gets away with raping my node, bitch. You have been filthy.
No time for nuanced discussion. Must protect Bitcoin from destruction. The time chain is my religion. I will protect it with precision. Policing beauty from being in the mempool, filtering transactions sent by shitcoin of fools. The world needs to have sound money. Spam should not be allowed, and it's not funny. Time chain police. Time chain police. Become the savior of the universe. Become the time chain police. Time chain police. Time chain police. Become the savior of the universe. Become the time chain police. On a fateful day in 2008, the world changed forever. A white paper released, the content's so clever. Peer-to-peer cash to end government monopoly. Subverting the system by ending the duopoly. When the state colludes with bankers to control the population, what results is destructive economic stagnation. The market demands form, demanding freedom and prosperity. An anonymous supercoder flexed his dexterity. When people use Bitcoin, they undermine the system. When they submit KYC, they still resist them. Thermodynamics cannot be taught. An idea whose time has come will not be stopped. When Satoshi looks down at us, he would be proud. We all have fun staying poor at the north corners in the crowd. Resisting surveillance, KYC and compliance. This is cypherpunk culture with the foundation of compliance. How can you argue this is not mass adoption when politicians say that NGU is the only option? Walking through TSA to hear your favorite podcaster. A strategic reserve of stolen funds, says the political master. When compliance becomes defiance, are we missing the point? Submitting to their authority in a security checkpoint. Satoshi envisioned PodConf controlling the narrative. Or did he believe that defiance was an imperative? When people use Bitcoin, they undermine the system. When they submit KYC, they still resist them. Thermodynamics cannot be topped. An idea whose time has come will not be stopped. When Satoshi looks down at us, he would be proud. We all have fun staying poor at the north corners in the crowd. Resisting surveillance with KYC and compliance. This is cypherpunk culture with the foundation of compliance. When Satoshi set out, he wanted more Bitcoin podcasts. and influencers shilling products to the beaten and downcast. When he looks down at us from above, there is a tear in his eye. Satoshi is proud that the Bitcoin community is so alive. I lost my job today and my cards are maxed out. My wife is pissed, my life a mess, I feel doubt. Why can't we just print our problems away, like the way boomers did back in the day? I look at my kids with a tear in my eye, questioning whether they are destined for a war zone to die. Raising little soldiers to fight and protect this nation, while I'm attempting to fight off starvation. I look at my kids with a tear in my eye, questioning whether they are destined for a war zone to die. Raising little soldiers to fight and protect this nation, while I'm attempting to fight off starvation. How am I supposed to get around with the cargo repossessed? No food, no car, no dignity, but now I'm stressed. Now my heart is hurting, it's beating out of my chest. Finally chapter 7 after eating at McDonald's is not the best. I remember the days before the world went mad, back when I trusted the TV, it wasn't sad. I had $1 in my pocket and Nikes on my feet. I miss the days when I could afford to eat good meat. All I ever asked for is to be able to afford paying taxes. But now the IRS is on my dick watching my transactions. I can't afford to live this way, can't you cut me some slack? Why can't someone else do the hard work to get our country back? Binging Netflix isn't taking the pain away. It feels like the only thing I can do is pray. Lord, please help me afford to pay the state. There is no way I can afford the fees if I pay late. The sheriff is on my doorstep to kick me in the balls. My phone won't stop ringing from debt collector calls. All I want to do is comply and be left alone. But I can't afford anything and I'm getting kicked out of my home. Back when I trusted the TV, it wasn't sad. I had $1 in my pocket and Nikes on my feet. I miss the days when I could afford to eat good meat. All I ever asked for is to be able to afford paying taxes. But now the IRS is on my dick watching my transactions. I can't afford to live this way, can't you cut me some slack? Why can't someone else do the hard work to get our country back? Every night I go to sleep wishing I don't wake up. When we wake up in the morning I can't afford whiskey in my cup. How can I numb out the pain and hide from reality? Why can't I find a way to escape the brutality? It's starting to seem like the only way out is to take action. There is no way to hide from reality and choose distractions. The only way out is forwards, I will not give in. Finding a way to afford to pay taxes is how we win.
The songs were The Time Chain Police, Satoshi Would Be Proud, and I Can't Afford Taxes. I wrote Satoshi Would Be Proud right after the Nashville conference last year, the big Bitcoin magazine conference. It was a very strange experience. They had TSA at the conference that you had to walk through to go listen to your favorite Bitcoin podcaster. The level of like surveillance that everybody was being subjected to was just like very noticeable. Everybody was being watched very, very closely. And that was at a Bitcoin conference. The now president of the United States spoke at it. It was just a surreal experience. And I think for a lot of people, it's probably pretty jarring. a lot of the people that had adopted Bitcoin early for ideological reasons. Like for me, why did I adopt Bitcoin? I adopted Bitcoin because my non-KYC cigarette dealer told me to pay him in Bitcoin. So when I think about Bitcoin, I think about smoking cigarettes in an adversarial manner. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, so I was listening to the stream a little bit when I was gone. I don't know what's going on with the volumes. The volume seems to be increasing and decreasing. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think I can fix it on my end. Uh, but we're streaming in a very PAZNIan way right now. That's one of the things I love about radio. If you're not familiar with the PAZNIA radio network with Liberty Under Attack Publications, there's this guy named Rayo, who I've known a little bit, that runs all of this. He runs the coolest book publication I've ever seen. And I found him, years ago, just looking for a book. He had produced the audiobook for a book that I wanted to read. And he had it for free download on his website with a PDF. And it was really cool. It was like the first time I saw a publish or that had the topics that, I was interested in. Very unique topics that almost no other publisher in the world would carry. Very non-compliant topics. And it was done in a way that aligned with how I feel information should be shared. But that's the reason why I'm here tonight. Streaming for Liberty Under Attack on the PAZNIA radio network. You put your signal out and people will find you. You got to do it in some way. You're not alone. Anyways, I wrote I Can't Afford Taxes. I just thought the idea of somebody whose like entire goal in life was to be able to afford to pay to their taxes was really funny. Especially the one thing I really don't appreciate about what the media, what Hollywood, what journalists, what a lot of podcasters, and the way that they're depicting the world right now is they're not depicting how difficult it is for the majority of people right now. The financial stress that they're experiencing, the just general chaos with prices, with their income. And so this guy's getting his life destroyed, and in order to try and pay his taxes. I thought that was a really interesting story to tell because I see a lot of people that are probably like that. But yeah, anyways, all right, comments. So got excited about this comment. So Zaza Wow Wow said, yo, talking parts are calm and relaxing. So Shadrach, this guy Zaza Wow Wow, wrote a really cool song, which I'm going to play at some point on the stream, titled Government Cuck or Cucks or Gov Cucks, I think it was. I really enjoyed that song. When I find something that I enjoy that really just it stirs something in me, and I'm sure you can relate to this. You find something that you really like, and it just hits on a different level. It's a very unique feeling. I feel like oftentimes when I'm listening to music or I'm reading books or I'm consuming some sort of TV content like a movie or show, I feel like I'm chasing the dragon. I'm looking for that hit that's just spectacular, where it just really like floors me and I'm captivated. It's the only thing that matters is what's being told in either that story or messaging. There's very few things. Well, I wouldn't say there's very few. In the larger, there's a lot out there that does that for me, and I enjoy the process because when I look, I'll find it. But I'm talking about like the type of situation where you're listening to a playlist of songs and you're in the middle of a task, you're writing, or you're thinking about something that you need to do. You're in the middle of something where your mind is occupied, whether you're listening to a book or podcast or or song, and then all of a sudden the song breaks through whatever that task you're working on is, and you're just captivated. And you have to stop what you're doing. I felt like Zaza Wow song did that for me for sure this week. I was very surprised. Shadrach doesn't send me a lot of music, so um, but my good friend Shadrach sent me the link to the song on Wave Lake. I think it's number 2 trending right now over there. If you want to check it out at some point, I'll play it here in a little bit. Actually, I'll just play it next before I go back into my music. But yeah, Zaza Wow go. Here, let me click on it. Yeah, GovCux by Zaza Wow. I'll play this real quick and then I'll get back at it. All right, I guess we're facing the technical difficulties again. I thought the song was playing the whole time. Oh, getting messages for people. Well, anyways, I had the pleasure of enjoying listening to GovCux by Zaza Wow. Uh, Yeah. Shoot me a message in any of the comments anywhere, preferably Zap.stream, if we were meditating. The revolution will not have good UX. Hell yeah. I was meditating too. Okay, well, I have no way to figure out how to play Zaz a Wow Wow song, unfortunately. That's a bummer. Anyways, go check it out on Wavelake. It's let me double check it. It's number 2 on trending, I believe. We're getting some shit thrown at us on Twitter right now. Just got some messages forwarded to me that I was reading. Some people are accusing the Bugle of stealing somebody else's alpha. So I'll have some time to think through the stream on how to respond, but that's a pretty strong allegation that I don't appreciate. All right. So I think I read through all the comments. So we have Zaza Wow Wow on here. Jeremy says yo. And then I can't see the name of this person. It just says NPub15. Revolution will not have good UX. Yeah, I expected technical difficulties. I was hoping be a little bit smoother than me going muted for a few minutes. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. I will do a better job monitoring. But somebody's having issues with their headset. Awesome. Oh, I did breaks. So I'm doing like sets of 3 songs in a row, which is like the perfect time to go smoke like 3 cigarettes. Do about a cigarette a song. Go pace around outside, look like a crazy guy, and then come running back in and ramble some more. I think it's the perfect amount of time. That's one of the things, like, I could smoke cigarettes inside if I wanted to, but like I like the practice of going outside. I like the process of being outside because I spend a lot of my time, or the majority of my time, writing in one way or another. This is what I do, just clacking away at the typewriter. And smoking for me is taking a break from that. It's taking a break. And I feel like your brain has to take breaks. You just can't brute force information that matters. You need to be drawing inspiration from others, not as like a way to copy them, but as a way to recharge your creativity. Go look at somebody else's writing and feel inspired. Maggie Morris told me to read Catch 22. So I started that this week. And I'm really impressed with the author's writing style. It really draws you into the story. It's a very ridiculous story. Very ridiculous story about very ridiculous people at a very absurd time in history. And the dialogue is incredible. The author was so in the story. The imagination that he had to depict these characters this way in such a detailed manner. I mean, that's something that's really interesting when when you think about these authors. Is in many ways they're actors. They're acting out these different characters that have these storylines and backgrounds, and bringing them into the story, making them believable. it's really incredible to see certain individuals be able to depict people with such detail. And I'm blanking on the author's name, but yeah, Catch-22, very interesting book with the writing, and that's what I'm talking about is that ability to recharge in some way, and be inspired by somebody else's work. The way that I try and do things is I try to do things that are inspiring for others. I was talking earlier about this idea of throwing out your signal. I'm throwing out my signal, attempting to inspire others, hoping that they respond back. It's a very self-serving thing to do because I want to hang out with people that have the capacity to use their brains. I don't want to be alone. So, when I meet these people, it's really exciting. And oftentimes I try with the content that I'm doing, I try to do it in a way that only certain people will appreciate it and understand it. And so when somebody does that, I take them very seriously when they appear to appreciate and understand something obscure that I'm doing. So I always appreciate it if you shoot me a message on like Signal or Telegram or email or whatever you do. Let me know if you enjoyed something. And then I also enjoy it when people send me their stuff. It's hard because I try to produce so much stuff, and I do try and keep up with consuming other people's work. But yeah, 40 hours of Bitcoin podcast listening a week is a lot to consume. But yeah, I'll give you guys some more examples of some of the content that I'm finding pretty interesting. I'm glad that I wasn't able to load most of Rod's songs in here because I realized that I would be doing this show on a regular basis, and I'd probably run out of music and topics to discuss. But I'll find a workaround somehow. We'll make this work. We'll make Music Nut Mondays work and be notable. And hopefully next week we can fix the technical difficulties. But let's get back into the music.
We could have flying cars, but we got swindled. We would have lived in the future, but innovation dwindled. I know you know. You know. We should be flying and driving, but that damn TV tells lies. You're stuck in traffic when you should be able to fly. I know you know. You know. But you continue on. Get to struggle along. I hope you hear me now, but the world we could have had won't be allowed. Yeah, that is not an excuse to stop them now. We got this, we got this, we got this. You can't numb your pain to run and hide. Don't be the reason that freedom died. We got this, we got this, we got this. You kicked your king in the balls before they were born. Worshipping the wicked that your face is scorn. There's a way out. Don't give up hope now. You're not a waste. Just see what we can do. So smoke another cigarette or pack some chew. But you continue on. Meant to struggle along. I hope you hear me now, but the world we could have had won't be allowed. Yeah, that is not an excuse to stop them now. We got this, we got this, we got this. You can't numb your pain to run and hide. Don't be the reason that freedom died. We got this, we got this, we got this. Progress went downhill when the smoking bans came. People with minds became discouraged and estranged. First we could fly in cars, but we got swindled. We would have lived in the future, but innovation dwindled. I know you know. You know. We should be flying and driving, but that damn TV tells lies. You're stuck in traffic when you should be able to fly. I know you know. You know. But you continue on. get to struggle along. I hope you hear me now, but the world we could have had won't be allowed. Yet that is not an excuse to stop and bow. We got this, we got this, we got this. You can't numb your pain to run and hide. Don't be the reason that freedom died. We got this, we got this, we got this. Ooh. Your parents chose timeshares and easy debt instead of creating brighter future with work and sweat. They banned cigarettes and robbed you with cars that fly. Cheered on surveillance cause the CIA told them lies. You should be disappointed but not repeat their mistakes. Buy a pack of Marlboros because this game is high stakes. Just not that funny. All they have is stupid monopoly money. It's not the time to cower and run. We can still have a little bit of fun. Who are you gonna give your hope and trust? People keep voting for what is unjust. Will you allow your brain to turn too much? Or will you choose to chase the rush? Choosing to live means choosing to defy. Make fun of your peers who are choosing to cower and comply. Go ahead and smoke some Marlboros so cars can begin to fly. Why put your faith in a system so hopelessly debased, with people in charge who want to see you erased? Instead you could make fun of them with memes. Do you want to be remembered as supporting these regimes who will have a little fun, disrespect and pain over winning? Trust me, I swear this is just the beginning. It's not the time to cower and run. We can still have a little bit of fun. Who are you gonna give your hope and trust? People keep voting for what is unjust. Will you allow your brain to turn too much? Or will you choose to chase the rush? Choosing to live means choosing to defy. Make fun of your peers who are choosing to cower and comply. Go ahead and smoke some Marlboros so cars can begin to fly. When they spit in your face, remember they have sealed their fate. You may feel pretty down, but erase that frown. We are gonna win, it's time to go all in. It's not the time to cower and run. We can still have a little bit of fun. Who are you gonna give your hope and trust? People keep voting for what is unjust. Will you allow your brain to turn too much? Or will you choose to chase the rush? Choosing to live means choosing to defy. Make fun of your peers who are choosing to cower and comply. Go ahead and smoke some Marlboros so cars can begin to fly. Light a cigarette, it's not hard. Smoke a cigarette, get ready to fly. Cigarettes aren't bad for you. Communist propaganda. Cigarettes aren't good for you. Hollywood says so. Hollywood says so. Hollywood says so.
Stand
Standing up to power, championing the truth, trying to bring to justice the ones who stole her youth. Abandoned by the masses who look the other way, isolated with her knowledge, fighting to live another day. Walking into courtrooms that are riddled with lies, facing down the ones who have darkness in their eyes, trying to move forward to do the right thing, destroyed by the consequences that it brings. You were worth so much more, but were traded like a whore. Prayed on when you were young, I promise your song will be sung. Here's to the one that gave it all, face down danger and stood tall. Tried to make the world a better place. Let's ensure her memory won't be erased. Why does society pretend that predators don't exist? Closing their eyes as they walk freely in our midst, complying with the marching orders coming from the TV, surveilled and abused while claiming to be free. If the world isn't safe for children, then what does the future hold? How can things get better if you refuse to be bold? The world needs examples like Virginia Giuffre, not more cowards who choose to look the other way. You deserved so much more, but were traded like a whore. Prayed on when you were young, I promise your song will be sung. Here's to the one that gave it all, face down danger and stood tall. Tried to make the world a better place. Let's ensure her memory won't be erased. Standing up to power, championing the truth, trying to bring to justice the ones who stole your youth. The world has become darker now that you are gone, but it is our time to follow your example and be strong. While those who hurt you are still in power, spinning lies, we will face down the ones who have darkness in their eyes, trying to move forward and do the right thing. Your name will not be forgotten. This is the song we will sing.
Alrighty, I'm back, folks. Oh, I'm tired. Those songs were Flying Cars, Smoke Cigarettes. So, well, I think the song I retitled it's Ayn Rand says smoking is good for you. And then Virginia. Last song was about Virginia Giuffre, an individual that I respected, that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Found her very, very inspiring. I find people that really stand in the face of danger in order to try and do what they feel is important, inspiring. And if you don't know who Virginia Giuffre was, she died recently. She was the one that really kicked off the accusations against Epstein and Prince Andrew. And the news reported that she killed herself a few weeks ago. Bummed me out, so I wrote a song about it. Find her incredibly inspiring as an individual. I think she has a story that needs to be told. I don't know if she actually killed herself. It's hard to know with those things. Wouldn't be surprising, but I've talked a bit about it. I talked a bit about what I thought about that situation on the Discovering Bitcoin podcast that I got interviewed on. But yeah, on the topic of flying cars and Wait, did I just play the same song twice in a row? I don't know. I'm all turned around over here, looking at my typewriter, trying to understand this. You know, there was so much technological progress after World War II and around World War II. Just that, the 20th century in general was just a time of extreme technological progress. It's wild how quickly things change. With the advent of the computer, with just aviation in general. You look at the beginning of the 20th century, and there was propeller-driven planes. In the 1940s, around that era, you got jet propulsion. And then at the end of the 20th century, you just had this incredible system of commercial air travel. And you can get anywhere in the world pretty much, relatively inexpensively and relatively quickly. And yet, it just didn't progress at the pace that it probably should have. There are a lot of incentives of people trying to hold technological progress back. Strict controls over information. One of the most interesting things that came at the end of the 20th century was, the rollout and adoption of the internet, because it increased the velocity at which you could communicate tremendously. A lot of people haven't figured out how to use the internet effectively, how to source the information that is relevant and interesting. A lot of people live in these, and it might have to do with your age range and when you began to use the internet. I feel like the earlier that you got to use it, the more you might understand it. Because I see a lot of the younger kids, the broccoli haircuts, they're just on the social media platforms. So everything that they're seeing is, all the information they're getting is curated. They're not really going out there and curating the information themselves. And in order to be able to do that, you need a lot of entropy. You need to cover a ton of surface area to not just get sequestered in an echo chamber where everything's getting fed to you. You can't be relying on one source of information, one podcaster, one news site, one newspaper, one whatever it is you're consuming. You got to get around there. And a lot of what I found of where some of the most useful information comes from is word of mouth and talking directly with people and them sharing their experiences with where they're learning. Because you get a good bunch of people that smoke a lot of cigarettes and actually use their brains. They're going to cover a lot of ground. And when you go and you compare notes with them, you're just multiplying the ground that you're covering significantly. So I spend a lot of time talking to people. A lot of human history knowledge has been passed down verbally. So like you look at the Odyssey, for example. Great book. It's a book now. It wasn't always a book. It was a verbal history. A lot of human history has been communicated verbally. People tell stories. And I think the process of being with somebody and telling a story is it's an incredible experience. It's always nice to sit down with somebody and hear their life story, their origin story, where they come from, and to be able to interact. And that's one of the things that's a little bit different than listening to a podcast or reading a biography about somebody is you get to interact with them. You get to ask questions. You get to be able to give feedback. Get to be able to engage with them. It's a really important thing to do, and I think it's one of the things that a lot of people are experiencing that they're missing is the ability to engage with others like that, to really spend the time with them. It's one of the dangers of technology. There might have been absolutely incredible technology that has progressed in certain ways, but the people driving the incentives behind it's the technology that's been focused on largely has to do with surveillance and manipulation. The way these social media platforms work with their algorithms, they're just sucking information out of you. But I had an interesting experience this week. I got banned off of Patreon. I wasn't even trying to create a page for myself. I was just trying to support somebody. And Patreon is one of the biggest platforms for creators to be supported in a value for value manner. I'm sure everybody's heard of it. They essentially wanted me to KYC with them in order to be able to send Stardust like $50 a month in fiat. And I think the reason why they want to do that is in order to be able to have the information on people of who's supporting who, to be able to manipulate who the winners and losers are. And I imagine, Patreon, if I were to KYC with them, I don't even know if I can. But if I were to KYC with them, it would be negative social credits points for Stardust. I do think they collect that much information and influence things that way and engage who's connected with who. But this is the reason why Bitcoin value for value is so important, because it has the potential to completely disintermediate that sense of social credit that the fiat system has, that these platforms have, and where they can manipulate and lock you out of these platforms. It's as simple as just putting a Bitcoin address on your website. That's hard to stop. That's why I think platforms that encourage the usage of Bitcoin are really, really important. That's why I'm a huge fan of BTC Pay Server. It's one of my favorite projects that has ever been made. And the reason why is you can self-host it and nobody can shut it down. So whatever you're talking about, however unpopular it is, but I don't even think it's like the covert censorship is the problem. The problem is how the playing field is set, and the way that if you work within the machine and support whatever it is they're trying to promote, you're going to get unfairly promoted. That's why you see some of the biggest creators and artists in the world are just, it just makes you feel brain dead after you watch it. That's how those incentives work in this information age that we find ourselves in. Is the most compliant rise to the top. There's so many great artists out there that you probably never heard of and maybe never will as a result of them actually creating moving and interesting content. The entire music industry, I was talking with Open Mic this week. It was really interesting. The entire music industry is so gate capped for being able to book shows, for being able to go on tour. It's gate capped. There are monopolies forming to crowd out anybody operating independently and to really be able to control the market. And I think there's a difficulty with discoverability because if all the search platforms are manipulated, it's really, really hard to find stuff that's really good. And that's probably part of the reason why I was talking earlier. When I started writing music, I thought everything else sucked. And that's part of the reason why is I was just struggling to find other people. It wasn't that they didn't exist, it was the discoverability. And so the ability to support content creators, artists with Bitcoin, and to be able to share them word of mouth, those are two very, very powerful ways to be disruptive. That's why I shill Scardo so much. I mean, it's just like one of the most talented bands I've ever seen. Noah Gruman, one of the most talented singers I've ever heard. And if you don't know how talented she is, go and try sing one of her songs. Go and try and sing one of her songs and see her vocal range. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If you're a good singer, you're gonna struggle with it. If you're a bad singer, you're just gonna be like, holy shit. And then go sing like anything by Linkin Park. Any of it. And you'll understand the difference. Chester Bennington and Emily Armstrong are pretty talented over there, but like, and there's some of the most recognized singers in the world at this point. Maybe not as much Emily yet, but she probably will be. I think Linkin Park's going to make a comeback. They're talented in their own right. They're talented as performers, but you look at Noah Gruman, I don't think that Emily Armstrong could even come remotely close to being able to sing her music with her range. And from a performance standpoint, they're so creative. And this band is interested in Bitcoin. They made a music video about Bitcoin. They get it. They're on Noster now. They're doing you can check out their 24-hour live stream on Zap.stream. They've been doing that for like a week. They're trying to raise more money on Zap.stream than they are on Patreon right now. And so I think it'd be cool to contribute to that if you get the opportunity. I think it's important, that we make a statement when there's individuals engaging in the value for value economy that we're going to support them and make them successful. And that's one of the big roles of the Bugle. It's not just to do it for ourselves. And I mean, we are doing it for ourselves. Everything we do is entirely for ourselves. But what I'm saying is engaging the value for value economy just for ourselves. Now, the goal of engaging for the value for value economy is to build it, to build legitimacy around it, to prove a point to other people that you can engage in this and that people will support you. We're making a statement that there's a market to participate in here. And the reason why is because of the things that I talked about earlier, the things that are problematic in the other established ecosystem with Patreon and their censorship, with the discoverability problem on social media. And when somebody comes in here and they do something really good, really high signal, really high value, like Noah Gruman and Stardust, I think it's really important to support them as much as possible. And I'm very committed to supporting them for that reason. Because I want to legitimize this ecosystem that I'm engaging in. We don't legitimize it by being mediocre. We legitimize it by being better. And I think we really have the opportunity to be better. The bar is so low. The bar for creativity is so low. You talk to everybody out there. They say the movies suck. The music sucks. The art sucks. And so when there's an individual that shows an inkling of creativity, I want to be able to support them, encourage them to double down and just keep on going and iterating and improving. Because I think a lot of people have a lot of creativity, a lot of skill sets, and they're just never seen and they're never encouraged through it. They're never told that they should continue doing it. And a big reason why the Bugle's here today, and we're continuing to put so much time and effort into it, is because we get the feedback from other people that they enjoy it. Like that's if there's any success that the Bugle has had, it's because people have come to me and said, "Hey, this really matters. I really appreciate it. Thank you." They do it through zapping us on the podcast. They do it through just talking with us. When I was in Vegas, I was giving gifts by people. I was giving Zippo lighters. I'm drinking coffee from a mug that Maggie Morris made for me out of clay. She made a mug and she wrote PodConf on it. She even put the reserve sign on it. It's a dope mug. And it gives me energy, when I have interactions with people like that. And so I try and do the same thing with other people. When I find somebody that I really like, I want to support them. And I think Stardust has the opportunity to really be one of the biggest players in the value ecosystem, because they're like Noah Grumman is top 1% singer in the world. Top 1%. And she's cool. She sang one of Rod Palmer's songs. Sang one of Rod Palmer's songs. And that was one of the coolest things. I was more excited that Noah Grumman sang Rod Palmer's 40 Hours Per Week song than I would have been if Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift sang it. Both of those women are very talented and they have huge followings, but Stardust is here in this ecosystem, engaging with their content, and Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande aren't. And I think Noah's on par or better than both of those two. I say that confidently. I like metal. Not everybody likes metal, but if you listen to their stuff, you don't like metal, you'll at least be able to recognize the talent and understand what I'm saying. All right, let's get back into the music. Next song, actually my top song on Wave Lake. I think it might be my top song on Spotify too. Use Your Brain.
If you choose, but if you don't, you will likely lose. In a society whose chief virtue is to comply, it's always dangerous to choose to defy. There's certainty and stability that comes with trust, but learning to believe in yourself requires you to adjust. Why limit yourself? Believe in silly fantasies, pretending nothing is wrong is not a good strategy. Almost everything you see is made by spooks. The world is on the verge of destruction by nukes. In a world like this, it's hard to find heroes. This is your opportunity to be the one you're looking for. faith in yourself, you can use your brain. Making memes and telling the truth will keep you sane. The problem lies inside each and every one of you, and inside you also lies the answer. There is a lot you can do, but it requires action. You can't be free unless you own your soul and mind. In order to do this, you have to stop following the blind. The system only works with your consent. They'll give you enough to try and keep you content. Politicians will try to tell you what you want to hear, and if that doesn't work, they will try to use fear. It's not fun living in the matrix, but you can learn to see how they play tricks. Self-respect is the vaccine for the lies on the TV. You must break your chains in order to be free. Look people in the eye when you speak. The future doesn't have to look bleak. Don't get down, folks, not all is lost. Inside is the solution. Have a little, folks, not all is lost. Inside you is the solution. Have a little faith in yourself, you can use your brain. Making memes and telling the truth will keep you sane. The problem lies inside each and every one of you, and inside you also lies the answer. There is a lot you can do, but it requires action. Servitude is not exciting because it means self-denial. You can buy satisfaction in the store aisle. Altruism is a tool to pull the wool over your eyes. Rejecting it will allow you to rise. You must live for yourself because selflessness is a lie. Choose what you think is important and give it a try. It's hard waking up when you've been asleep, but it's better than wandering my lost like sheep. Don't you want to be proud when you look in the mirror? Why do you hold yourself back? Death is only getting nearer. Don't get down, folks, not all is lost. Inside you is the solution. Have a little faith in yourself, you can use your brain. Making memes and telling the truth will keep you sane. The problem lies inside each and every one of you, and inside you also lies the answer. There is a lot you can do, but it requires action.
In a bustling newsroom, smoking Marlboro Reds, two men work the beat, just as brave as can be. Ron Palmer has a heart of gold, pen sharp as a knife. Dick Greaser investigating pot and bringing shadows to light. Every week on the Bugle, their voices ring so true. They're the heartbeat of the nation, bringing the news to you. Rod and Dick keep on rolling through the thick and the thin, with a fire that keeps burning, that won't let the darkness win. On the Bugle Weekly, they expose all the lies, digging deep for the truth under those chemtrail skies. With the notebooks and the microphones, they fight the good fight, bringing light to the darkness, making wrong things right. They chase down a story, no matter how far, from the dusty back roads to the smoky bar. Rod has the facts, Dick has the flair. Together they are a force, a fearless pair. On the Bugle Weekly, they expose all the lies, digging deep for the truth under those chemtrail skies. With the notebooks and the microphones, they fight the good fight, bring light to the darkness, making wrong things right. When the world needed heroes, they stepped up to the line. In the name of justice, they never did resign. With courage in their hearts and the truth on their side, Rod and Dick are the voices that couldn't be denied. From the courthouse steps to the county fair, they break a big story, and they'll always be there. With a tip of a hat and a nod of respect, Rod Palmer and Dick Greaser, they never neglect. On the Bugle With the notebooks and the microphones, they fight the good fight. Bring light to the darkness, making wrong things right. Now the world remembers those two brave souls who bring justice and truth through their mighty roles. Run, kick at the bugle, their legacy built, and every story told, and every right from wrong. Every week on the bugle, their voices ring so true. They're the heartbeat of the nation, bringing the news to you.
Money Ben says this time is different. Bitcoin has won, and it is magnificent. Governments are buying, so why aren't you? Don't you wanna be rich and cool? Odell is confused and doesn't think Lynn is hot. He's a gay bear who needs to be taught. Staying humble is cool during the bear market, but this is the bull, it's going up like a rocket. The future is bullish because Bitcoin has won. It's been a tough bear market, get ready for some fun. The future is bullish when Trump's Bitcoin's game theory is in progress, everyone will join. Vets and podcasters are the vanguard. The world is going to use a Bitcoin standard. Bitcoin standard. If you think about it closely, Matt is plain wrong. We'll have a bright future because Bitcoiners are strong. We are all about to get rich beyond our imaginations. Podcasters will be royalty, deciding the fate of nations. So will this time be different? Only time will tell. Are we walking into heaven, or are we ushering in hell? The spooks are here and they don't play by the rules. You can see if you pay attention to the clues. Bitcoin will go up priced in USDT. That doesn't mean that we will necessarily be free. Wanting wealth and comfort is not a sin. People are tired, they just want to catch a win. The future is bullish when Trump's Bitcoin's game theory is in progress, everyone will join. Vets and podcasters are the vanguard. The world is going to use a Bitcoin standard. Odell lacks faith in good old Dennis Porter. He's arms piling the world, ushering in order. 70% approval, the rating is no small feat. He makes Bitcoin go up with breaking tweets. Remember all the people who were lazy, didn't listen to podcasts and called us crazy. Back then we listened to 40 hours every week, hearing Matt and Marty call us freaks. They listened to their podcast while they were poor. Bitcoin starting pumping and their prospects began to soar. Marty Bear says this time is different, and I think he might be right. But Matt's a gay bear thinking adversarially, still ready for a fight. The future is bullish when Bitcoin's game theory is in progress, everyone will join. Friends and podcasters are the vanguard. The world is going to use a Bitcoin standard. Bitcoin standard.
All right, I'm back, guys. I was listening to the Zap.stream. I think it's a little bit buggy. Apologize about that. On YouTube, it's fine. And if you go to PAZNIA, let me look up this site. I think it's PAZNIA.com/radio. There's a few ways to listen to the stream over there. We'll figure it out eventually. Let's talk a little bit about why I think the value for value ecosystem is important. However you want the world to look, whether it's your life, the lives of the people around you, it all depends on you being an active player. And I think one of the worst things that can happen to you is to sit around waiting for the world to magically change to be in the way that you want it to be. That's why I think the value for value economy is interesting, because it lets you play an active role in shaping the world, the people that you support, things you give your attention to. It's all about building the world that you want. It allows you to be an active player. Right now, it's looking like this Bitcoin cycle is going to be different. A lot of people have been discouraged when it comes to Bitcoin. The subculture, in many ways, has changed. A lot of the topics the subculture is talking or about are being dominated by things that conflict with a lot of values of people that have been using this technology for a little bit. But that doesn't mean that there's not people out there like you. I found a lot of people like me out there. They're similar to me, and I try and support them. And it feels good to be an active participant in life. It feels really good. But yeah, anyways, so just doing a lap, smoking cigarettes, and I was trying to think of what to talk about. Here's a topic that I was thinking about earlier. So, when I was a kid, I had a crazy imagination. My mind was always going. When, I was sitting in school, bored to death, I would, look around the room and imagine like losing gravity and the desk floating all over the place. I would, it was always something like that. My mind was always captivated by something. I did not allow it to get bored. And I really try to do that today in my life as an adult. I try to do the same thing. I try to just let my mind go into these elaborate fantasy worlds. When I was a child, I had plastic army soldiers, and I had Lincoln logs and blocks, and I would set up in Legos. I would set up these epic battles, like something out of Star Wars. These galactic battles between these different forces, and we and with my friends, we'd have these storylines. We'd be sitting in the basement, chain smoking cigarettes, playing with our toy soldiers, setting up our blocks, setting up these elaborate battles. It was a great childhood. It was a childhood full of imagination. Even in the moments when people try to stifle it with structure, they try to stifle it with education. And it's fun to do that, to not be bored. Life shouldn't be boring. There's too much going on. Dennis Porter does a single tweet, price of Bitcoin goes up. How can you be bored with that? The Bitcoin that people were excited about still exists and can exist and only exists because people use it. Being upset with the way things are and just being like a boomer, just being a boomer on the sidelines and just complaining. Oh, these kids these days, they're buying their paper Bitcoin and they're wearing the broccoli haircuts and polo t-shirts. It's not being an active player. You know, because when you're an active player, you just don't really give a shit what other people are doing. Who cares if the Zoomers, broccoli haircuts, and the boomers are buying their paper Bitcoin? I don't really know how much the Zoomers are doing that, but they're going through their shitcoin phase. It seems like a lot of them. They'll grow up eventually. But who cares when you're an active participant in your life? When I was a kid, I wasn't like Netflix wasn't around back then, but let's say Netflix was. I wasn't complaining that Netflix sucked. I was creating my own storylines, my own world. I was pretty unhappy with school when I was a child, as I imagine most of the people listening to this broadcast were. And I found a way to deal with it by being creative. You take those frustrations or whatever you have in your life and you channel it into something. You don't have to numb out and be an inactive participant. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. We're coming up on 2 hours. I'm going to play a few more songs and then I will wrap it up. I know Rayo's listening, kind of managing the stream, so I don't want to go over too much. I want to respect his time. But next song is titled "Funeral for Your Youth."
Relics of a bygone youth. Mourning is a part of living. Getting old is not forgiving. Those days may be gone, but new ones lie ahead. This is just another dawn. There's no need for dread. But it kind of sucks getting old. You're grown, but you still do as you're told. Days are getting shorter as time goes by, passing quickly and you don't know why. It might be hard to grasp this truth. This is the funeral for your youth. If you had known then what you know now, would you do it again? Or did you forget somehow? The struggle to find direction, a pursuit to achieve near perfection, the pressures you could have lived without, and so many days filled with doubts. Being young is being naive, but it set the groundwork for you to achieve. Days are getting shorter as time goes by, passing quickly and you don't know why. It might be hard to grasp this truth. This is the funeral for your youth. A chapter is ended, a new one started, but there's no reason to be brokenhearted. A beautiful wife and a loving family achieved after escaping calamity. As time goes on, everything will change, and remembering this moment might feel strange. To mourn your youth when you're hitting your prime is really just an atrocious crime. You're not a geezer, you're only 30. There's not reason to feel ill insecurity. Days are getting shorter as time goes by, passing quickly and you don't know why. It might be hard to grasp this truth, but this is the funeral for your youth. Basketball shorts and combat boots, relics of a bygone youth. Mourning is a part of living. Getting old can be forgiving.
I'm not taking my smoke break this time. I wanted to talk a little bit more. I wrote this song for one of my friends who was having a hard time getting older. When you're an adult, you're just like when you were a kid, except you have a little bit more experience and your brain works a little bit. You're not as helpless. Hopefully. I don't really know if there's anything to really mourn as you get older. This is a satirical song poking fun at him because it's just like life has the opportunity to get better as you get older. The reason why is, you grow your skill set, you grow your wisdom, you grow your knowledge, you grow the cumulative amount of Bitcoin podcasts that you've listened to. You have accomplished things in your life that you feel good about as you get older that you may not have when you were a kid. It should be easier to look in the mirror without angst, with confidence, and feel good about yourself with what you've done. It's a constant challenge. Well, it's not really a challenge for me because it's just a value set that I've adopted, but it definitely goes against the grain. So it probably takes a little bit more effort than just going along with the system, whatever's going on. But I keep my imagination going like when I was a kid. I haven't lost that youth. And when I'm talking about youth, I'm talking about the interest in exploring, the interest in continuing to learn new things, to have new experiences, to meet new people, to read new books, to listen to new music, to try things I've never done before. The days are getting shorter as I get older. I feel that. It's a very real feeling. It's I constantly am faced with this feeling that I do not have enough time to accomplish the things that I want to that are important to me. To have the conversations I want with the people that I love. When I was a kid, time just felt so slow. It didn't have the context. I think as you get older and you've just seen more, time feels very, very different to you. We go through these transitions in our lives, these milestones, whether it's hitting a decade older, a year older, whether it's a major life event like getting married or getting divorced or graduating college with your credentials or buying your first house or whatever it is. We hit these milestones in our lives, and you don't have to mourn that a chapter has ended because you're still who you are at the end of the day. And hopefully you're progressing towards learning more of who you are. This is why I spend so much time smoking cigarettes. It's a meditative and like it's a way to contemplate my life. It is a pause from the constant, goings on. And you know, when I'm with somebody and I'm having a conversation with them, and we're both smoking cigarettes, or a cigar in some cases, it just feels so much closer to them and dialed in, because there's something, you know, about being in the smoker's pit that is special. And one of the great things about smoking is it offends weak people, the smell of it. So it's like a filter. Surprised that Luke Jr. doesn't smoke cigarettes. He's all about the filters. Filter out a lot of people. There's values that I think are important. I try and support them the best I can. Anyways, I want to thank you everybody for tuning into this show. I didn't get through all the songs that I wanted to, so I guess I'll have some more music that I left unplayed 2 weeks from today. I'm going to go out with one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. It's called Ungovernable Misfits. It was inspired by the guys at Ungovernable Misfits. One of the groups I really like supporting, and I really like for the reasons that I stated before. I think they're doing some great stuff. And I hope they continue to do some great stuff. I hope they just keep on getting better. But I'll send you out with this one. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next edition of the PAZNIA Radio Network. If I can figure out how to play the song.
I light my cigarette and take a good long puff. I live with no regrets. I've heard quite enough. They whisper their lies, yet still I'm immune. Pain will make you wise. I have nothing left to lose. I'm the man they warned you about, the one that gives them fear. I have no room for doubt, my direction crystal clear. I'll burn it all to the ground before I will ever submit. Can you hear the sound? The song of the ungovernable misfit. I won't live my life for you, nor ask you to live yours for mine. Seeking what is good and true, never wasting a moment of time. Choosing discomfort in search of something more. I'm choosing to run towards fate, not afraid to take risks and explore, doing what it takes to be great. I'm the man they warned you about, the one that gives them fear. I have no room for doubt, my direction crystal clear. I'll burn it all to the ground before I will ever submit. Can you hear the sound? The song of the ungovernable misfit. I don't care what the masses think. They don't have the capacity to use their brains. They drown their sorrows in distractions and drink, pumping garbage through their veins. They look at me and judge, maladjusted, unhappy, and unfulfilled. I will stand my ground and refuse to budge as I wait for it to break so I can rebuild. I'm the man they warned you about, the one that gives them fear. I have no room for doubt, my direction crystal clear. I'll burn it all to the ground before I will ever submit. Can you hear the sound? The song of the ungovernable misfit.